So we're discussing this move from the left. Basically, they've gone from a position of abortion should be safe, legal, and rare. That was the viewpoint in the 90s. That was the way they were presenting things in the 90s. Basically, that abortion, no, we don't have to publicly fund it, and we can be kind of restrained about it, but it needs to be available. It needs to be legal. Now they've moved to this different position. Now they've have this position that abortion needs to be publicly funded, that everyone has to provide abortions, even healthcare providers who are morally opposed to abortion, like Christian hospitals, like Catholic hospitals, things like that. That is the new wave of what's coming. And that was why getting Judge Gorsuch on the Supreme Court was so important. You know, he has this very strong viewpoint as it relates to religious liberty questions. He was actually probably much better on religious liberty in a lot of ways than Justice Scalia. May he rest in peace. But Justice Scalia took a very narrow viewpoint as it regards the free exercise clause of the First Amendment. First Amendment protects your right to free exercise of religion. And Justice Scalia actually had a couple of cases where he was a little wonky and a little off base as it relates to religious liberty. With Justice Gorsuch on the Supreme Court, we've actually beefed up the court's understanding of religious liberty in a way that's much more robust. And this is leading to, I think, a lot of optimism in our community as it relates to all kinds of things. For example, another bad California law, AB 775, which was passed 2 years ago, which forces pregnancy centers to, pro-life pregnancy care centers to promote abortion. This law came into effect about a year or two ago and has been challenged in the courts ever since. Basically, it forces pro-life pregnancy centers to post a big fat notice right on near the front of their business, letting people know where they can go for free or low-cost abortions here in California. Like, they have to advertise where nearby abortion clinics are at a pro-life pregnancy center. This is essentially compelled speech. It's basically the government forcing you to say something you don't want to say, forcing you to express a certain viewpoint that you don't want to express, that in fact you're explicitly founded to reject. And in the case of entities like our pregnancy care center here in Fresno is an explicitly religious organization. It's an explicitly Christian organization. So it's violating not only their free speech rights, it's also violating their free exercise of religion rights. So this law, AB 775, is being challenged right now, and the Supreme Court is considering whether or not to hear it. That's going to be happening very, very soon, and I'm delighted that Judge Gorsuch is on the court to deal with these questions. But and that's sort of why it was such a relief that he was nominated to the court. If someone other than him were nominated to the Supreme Court, if, say, Merrick Garland or someone whose understanding of free exercise of religion is a lot more narrow, what could we see? I'm afraid that the universe envisioned by someone like Ezekiel Emanuel, Rahm Emanuel's brother, who was writing in the New England Journal of Medicine, that we shouldn't have any conscience protection laws to help doctors who don't want to perform abortions, nurses who don't want to perform abortions. We shouldn't have any of those conscience protection laws on the books whatsoever. That everyone who wants to be an OB has to perform abortions. Everyone who wants to be an obstetric nurse has to participate in abortions. That hospitals who do obstetrics will have to provide abortions. Or if not, they have to provide robust referral systems where they let people know this is where you can go to have an abortion. Like, that is genuinely the universe that we're talking about. And if you don't think it can happen, I mean, imagine how you would have felt in America in 1955 if someone said to you, hey, abortion in 18 years, abortion is going to be legal in all 50 states for all 40 weeks of pregnancy and for any reason. You would have said, you're crazy. Abortion? Really? Like, I'm telling you, in 1955, you would have thought that was crazy, but the intellectual seeds of what would happen in 1973 were being sown much earlier than 1973. Roe v. Wade didn't come out of a vacuum. And that's what we're seeing right now. We're seeing these higher level pro-choice academics, these elites in government, in academia, in some cases in the media, promoting a certain new viewpoint. That if you are denying people access to abortion, I mean, that the focus is no longer on, well, look, I conscientiously can't participate in abortion. You need to safeguard my rights guaranteed under the First Amendment to free speech and free exercise of religion. No, 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 no. The focus is being shifted away from you, away from your conscience rights, towards the rights, the alleged rights of patients to have abortions, to have access to abortions, and therefore concomitant, along with their right to have abortion, a new sort of duty imposed on you to provide them, or else get out of the profession. This is the landscape we face, and that's why having Justice Gorsuch on the Supreme Court is so important. That's why I'm excited about the possibility that AB 775, which forces pregnancy care centers to promote abortion, will be overturned by the Supreme Court.